After a terrific run of summer weather, clouds and rain have returned to the Northwest, but that hasn't stopped folks from turning out for the bite of Seattle at Seattle Center. And that's where the Seattle Reign look to return to form following their first loss of the season. From Memorial Stadium, it's the NWSL leading Reign against the team that defeated them just 8 days ago, the Chicago Red Stars. And great to have you with us, everyone, along with Leslie Gallimore, the head coach at the University of Washington. I'm Tom Glasgow. That game against Chicago in Chicago, it was a 1-0 victory for the Red Stars. But the bottom line is Seattle looking to move on from that. With a win or tie today, they officially, Leslie, wrap up a playoff spot.
Yeah, and maybe having the undefeated season is a little bit of pressure relieved, and because we all know giving up first goals, not really playing up to their standard and the quality that they started the season with was starting to take its toll. And I think this just relieves a lot of pressure for them. I think we're going to see a free, loose, really creative, aggressive attack from the Reign today because of it.
Let's talk about conceding goals, as you just mentioned. 8 of the last 10 games, the Reign have conceded that first goal. So how do you mentally try to change that, make the other team play catch-up early?
I think that you're going to see some lineup tweaks today. I think the return of Megan Rapinoe as a full-time starter is going to help, and just something a little bit different, a different look and a different vibe on the field, maybe just to change things up. It's a grind a long season, and I think getting this playoff spot sewn up is going to be at the forefront of their mind at home against the team that did just mar their record. So they've got everything to play for today and everything to play loose and free for.
Well, speaking of good vibes, one is always brought to the field by Jess Fishlock of Seattle, high energy midfielder, and she's certainly one that I know has been frustrated by the play and the slow starts. We'll see what she brings to maybe ignite a flame early on in this one.
Absolutely. Jess Fishlock, I think she's going to slide up to the 10 spot, and Kim Little will slide up to the 9 with Pino on one side and Naho on the other. And we know how well that Fishlock and Kim hook up going to goal. So to push both of them closer to the goal, I think, again, we're going to see an aggressive, clean attack with a lot of chances created early in the game to hopefully put one on the board first for the Reign as opposed to take one and then have to chase the game.
Thursday night at home, Chicago getting a 1-1 draw with Portland. Lori Kalupny getting a late second half goal to equalize that match. Just a rock-solid player, true professional.
She is. Lori Kalupny's got a lot of international caps under her belt. She's a hard player. She's a skillful player. She can go from box to box, and she's never going to back down. And she's dangerous. She's dangerous with both feet. She can shoot from distance. She can thread people in. So she's someone you got to take care of. I know the last time they played here at home, that was no easy match for either team physically. So this game's got a lot at stake for everybody, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing the Reign get on top of them early and put their foot on the pedal.
Third meeting between the clubs this season. A lot on the line for both teams. Stick around. We've got the starting lineup coming your way. It's Chicago and Seattle from Memorial Stadium. And as promised, the starting lineups for the Chicago Red Stars, coached by Rory Dames. Rory, in his third year, leading this program, his club with a record of 7 wins, 6 losses, 5 ties, 5th place in the NWSL. In goal, and one of the best in the business, Karina LeBlanc. We talked about the captain, Lori Kalupny, and what she brings to the squad. Up front, Seattle's defense will get a big test from Kristen Press, one of the top goal scorers for the U.S. national team, and Melissa Tancredi got the winning goal 8 days ago early in that match between the Red Stars and the Reign. For Seattle, led by head coach Laura Harvey, a league best record of 13 wins, 1 loss, and 3 draws, setting the pace in the NWSL table with 42 points. It is Hope Solo in goal. And Leslie, as we look at this lineup, the defensive back line, it's what we've seen with Barnes, Reed, Fletcher, and Cox. Some changes, though, with Mariah Noguera getting the start coming into the midfield, and Megan Rapinoe finally showing some signs of health, getting back into the starting lineup.
That's right, Tom. As I said in the pregame, Megan Rapinoe as a full-time starter can only help this team. And again, give a little bit different look, a little bit more creative, a little bit more deception, and I think a little bit more of the ball in linking up with Kim and with Jess. The other thing, Mariah Noguera, a start tonight. She is built for this game. Last time we saw them here at home, this was a physical matchup, and Mariah Nogueira is no pushover. She's great in the air. She's a great ball winner. She's physically strong and tough. So she'll be paired with Keelan Winters to be able to stop anything that Chicago might throw at them.
Only 11 spots, so somebody's got to sit, and taking a rare seat on the bench to start a match, Sydney Leroux and Bev Goebel for Seattle.
And again, goals are hard to come by, and Bev and Sid have had great seasons, and we talked about this all year as well. Seattle having the depth that they have, the moving parts that they have, the interchangeable parts that they have. This is nothing but good for their team at this point when they're starting to try to, one, lock up a playoff spot, and two, make their championship run as healthy as they possibly can.
And we are underway. Our referee today is David Mon. And again, one of the things that from a Seattle perspective we want to see early in this game is energy, crisp ball movement. And from a Seattle perspective, they certainly want to strike first in this match. It has been an issue as you look at Megan Rapinoe looking to make an early impact on this match between Chicago and Seattle. Very important for the Red Stars. They are in a battle in 5th place currently to get into one of those top 4 spots for postseason play.
Yeah, and it's just started to mist here a little bit, so the turf might start to get a little bit slick. It'll be interesting to see how it plays, but Megan Rapinoe already getting up the left flank, getting a serve across the box. It wasn't pulled off Karina LeBlanc enough, but as you're seeing,
rare giveaway that time by Jess Fishlock as she was trying to find Megan Rapinoe. What about those changes? Granted, not wholesale, and they've had a full week of practice, but in terms of early chemistry in that game, should that be considered much of an issue?
I don't think so at all. As I said before, Fishlock and Little hook up really well, link really well together, whether they're pushed back one line on the field when Jess is holding and Kim's playing in the high midfield spot in the 10. Now they're just both closer to the goal, and I think their chemistry is perfectly fine. Pino is, to me, more like a European player, to be honest, and I think there's great chemistry from last year between Jess and Rapinoe, and Nahos fit into the system really well. I don't think that'll be an issue at all.
Lauren Barnes playing it ahead. Rapinoe, nice switch toward the near touchline. And here's Ellie Reed. Kendall Fletcher looking for Kim Little, odds-on favorite as things stand right now for the league MVP award. Scottish international, first year in the NWSL.
She's just been, the little magician has just been a treat to watch for the Seattle Reign fans all year, and for NWSL fans for that matter. She's crafty, she's skillful, she's got a soccer IQ as high as any of I've seen, especially for a young player. Her international experience has brought a wealth of great things to the Reign so far this season, and she definitely is a candidate for MVP. I'd say a lock almost.
Leads the league with 11 goals. Kawasumi with the service on the corner. Fletcher keeps it alive. LeBlanc punches it out. And the Red Stars survive the first big pressure moment that they've had to deal with defensively in this match.
It's a great punch by Karina, and well done by Kendall Fletcher to just softly put that back into the box. Good attempt by Keelan Winters going up for the header.
Seattle leads the league both in goals scored and fewest goals allowed. This is Rapinoe working on Winino. Seattle with 34 goals this season. They've allowed just 14. Again, both tops in the NWSL.
And you have to look at Seattle and the goals against. Their issue isn't giving up a lot of goals, it's when they give them up. They want to stop, as we've mentioned in the last 8 of 10 games, I believe you said, Tom, giving up the first one. That's just not a way a team that's trying to win a championship wants to have the game go, where you're always trying to make that comeback. You want to get on top of teams and keep it that way.
Foul call going against the Red Stars. Free kick coming up for Keelan Winters. This is Kendall Fletcher. Good pressure that time by Zakia Bywaters, getting the start.
Zakia 2 years ago, first year of the NWSL draft out of UCLA. Speedy player, can play multiple positions. You usually see her out wide or up top, but she's played as an outside back. But she in her rookie season was okay. This year again has seen some time. It'd be interesting to see how her career continues to develop. Fast player.
Ball headed out by Keisha Morway. Kawasumi, and a little gets it back. Beautiful play by Little between the legs, and now the service. Little strong for Rapinoe. Does she keep it in? Cannot. Just a little off with the touch on that pass, but a good idea that time by Kim Little.
And I think what you see there, other than the cheeky little nutmeg, is just her vision. To be able to one, nutmeg the player, but just to play that sliced ball, slotted ball across the top of the box.
Little again, the shot. A little offline, but again it was deflected, and you see the ability on the ball of Kim Little to create and put pressure on the defense.
It just takes a little bit defensive responsibility away from her as well. She can play more free. She can go pretty much where she wants.
Second corner for Seattle. Kawasumi plays it short to Little. Back to Naho. Left-footed service. And that one is headed away by Julie Johnston. Third corner coming up for Seattle already in this match.
Julie Johnston, former captain of the U20 national team that won a World Cup 2 years ago. It's fun because the current U20 is getting ready to leave for their World Cup in Canada as soon as they break camp here at the University of Washington. Here in attendance to watch, along with the under-23 national team, they're watching many of their former teammates, their national team teammates, college teammates, players striving to get to this level as well.
Little, nice move, Little shot. LeBlanc well positioned though, and Leslie, we talked about early energy and movement and crispness, and we're certainly seeing that from the rain.
Well, now all they need is a goal out of it, because when you get this many chances early on, you certainly want to capitalize. And as we mentioned, this was the prediction on what we'd see from this front four, this front five.
Keelan Winters with the foul on Bywaters. Great to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon from Seattle.
Bye to Seattle going on here at the Seattle Center. You might
can hear the music.
I can hear the
don't
music
know
in the background as well.
The folks watching can, but a lot of activity here at Seattle Center.
Yeah, and a decent amount of fans, but I think the I-90 closure and possibly the Bye to Seattle have kept a few of the fans away, but a pretty good turnout here today on a Sunday. And the Seattle fans are slowly but surely catching on to what a great team the Seattle Reign are to watch.
Ball popped up, and Fletcher playing it out for Seattle. Kawasumi. Kelly Reed up ahead. Fishlock with a header. And Julie Johnston will settle for the Red Stars. Direct play looking for Kristen Press. Well defended by Fletcher.
Yeah, you got to keep track that Kristen Press and Melissa Tancredi are a handful, and for different reasons. Tancredi is I would say strong on the ball would be an understatement. She will just bowl over you. The Canadian international is a handful. Kristen Press, goal scorer. She finds a way to finish. In very, very few international appearances for the United States, she's scored a very high ratio of goals. And I know Coach Jill Ellis, who's again in attendance here this evening, knows that Kristen Press is probably a part of that team in 2015.
Wide open, Rapinoe. The shot wide to the right, but a lot of space for her to work with, and that certainly has to be a concern for Chicago head coach Rory Dames. You do not want Megan Rapinoe on the ball with that much room to operate with.
Well, the issue is you don't want Megan Rapinoe on the ball with a lot of room to operate, but you also don't want Naho, Kim, or Jess Fishlock with a lot of room.
So pick your poison?
Pick your poison, and if you don't keep them on one side and you allow them to switch the point of attack like they've done already several times over to Rapinoe's side, you're going to be in trouble. Now it's just a matter of the Reign trying to find a way to, one, get one on frame, or two, for Rapinoe to maybe slot one across the box for a tap-in.
Megan's been dealing with foot issues and it's forced her to miss the bulk of this season. So nice to just see her out in a game and doing what she loves and having a chance to once again contribute to this squad. Little. Throw in coming up for Chicago. Standings in the NWSL. Of course, Seattle setting the pace, 42 points, 17 games played. Kansas City with 34 points, but Kansas City's already played 18 games for Washington with 27 points. Portland with a win today, 6-3 at home against Boston, actually moving into third place ahead of Washington. Portland's played 19 now with the 29 points. Washington in fourth, and Chicago in 5th place with 26 points.
Starting to set up a big matchup for next week when the Portland Thorns visit Seattle. It's tight for that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spot. The end of this NWSL playoff picture is definitely going to be some really intense, really good battles.
Just Fishlock had a nice idea that time. She and Ellie Reed made contact. She wanted to play one and see if Reed could catch up to it, but Chicago defended well. Kawasumi, member of the Japanese national team, the reigning World Cup champions, and of course, World Cup 2015 in Canada next summer.
You know, again, we talk about the rain and the season that they've had, and we look at Naho having gone away to the Asian Cup. Rapinoe not really playing many, I mean, she hasn't played a full game yet, and yet the team is where they are in the standings. Kim Little having to leave for international duty, Jess Fishlock having to leave for international duty, and yet this team has found a way to pull away at the top of the table.
Foul against Chicago. Stephanie Cox goes down as a member of the U.S. women's national team. There's Hope Solo, Sydney LaRue, Rapinoe, also members of the squad.
It's a dangerous ball by Steph Cox into the box.
Rapinoe, Cox.
Finding space against Chicago inside the 18 is not usually that easy. They do a pretty good job of getting behind the ball and compacting space. And you can feel it when they tackle you.
I'm talking to Coach Dames before the game this afternoon. He said, you know, we feel like we've played 180 minutes against Seattle. We've had really just 15 really poor minutes, and that was in a 3-1 loss here earlier this season. He goes, beyond that, we feel like we've competed with them really well. What they want to try to get done today is counterattack Seattle and get their offensive opportunities that way. Here's another set piece for Seattle, 4th corner. So we're in the 12th minute of play.
See the strength of Mariah Noguera there to hold that 2 players off and then earn the corner.
Press clears it out.
A little bit of a miscue on the restart there. I'm not sure that's what Naho wanted. Seattle Reign have been very good on their set pieces this year. We talked about that being one of their biggest spots of improvement from the inaugural season until this year.
Reed. Kawasumi pressured by Press.
One of the things we're seeing from the Seattle Reign that we hadn't seen over the last several weeks is starting the game in possession with the ball on the ground and moving the ball through the midfield and building with numbers. They were starting to get a little bit too direct. They were starting to try to kind of go for broke, if you will, from the half line in, as opposed to building numbers, being patient, just making the other team chase. If they can keep the ball and have their possession up in the 80-90%, not turn the ball over easily and just make Chicago chase, it'll be difficult for Chicago to keep up with them defensively.
Press trying to get on the ball. Fletcher there defensively, well done by Kendall. Nice touch by Kim Little. Here's Rapinoe. Looking for Fishlock. Johnston there. Julie Johnston fouled by Fishlock.
Not sure what that call is. Both challenging for the ball, sliding. I think she was going to try to hook slide it and pop up with it just to make sure that Julie Johnson didn't get to it first. It's an interesting call.
Get another look at it right here. Seemed like they were maybe both starting to go down, but the call goes against Fishlock. Press trying to head it on to Tancrini, and Solo there.
I think he was just exhaling and forgot he had his whistle in his mouth. That was nothing to blow a whistle about.
That's a new theory. I had not heard that one before.
He just exhaled. Waiting to exhale. He should have waited a little longer.
Johnson heading it back to LeBlanc. Karina LeBlanc, 3rd best goals against average in the NWSL.
Canadian international, former Nebraska Cornhusker, stalwart in goal for Canada for a number of years, and a real fan favorite. Karina's a good person. People love to cheer for her. She's got a great attitude.
And home is not too far from Seattle, Maple Ridge, BC. So my guess is she has at least a few friends and family members here supporting her and the Red Stars. Bywater's that time not on the same page with Press.
I don't think she was in the same book, to be honest. And you know what you really want to do if you're on the Chicago Red Stars is get on Kristen Press's page.
Probably a good thing.
Yep.
That's your moneymaker, right?
I'm a big fan. You know, she's someone who has gone to Europe, played in Sweden, continued to hone her game, gain international experience, learn from international players, and brought herself back here into the NWSL and making a real name for herself for the U.S. women's national team as they start to prepare for the World Cup next year.
And Kristen actually made her season debut for the Red Stars here against Seattle back in June. Here's Little out to Kawasumi. Aho with a little flick to Ellis. Ellis trying to create an opportunity. Rapinoe, offside flag up.
Ellie Reed finding herself inside the box with a little razzle-dazzle from the right back and just couldn't find that final shot and get her shot off. But she does a good job of, again, she typically when she comes up that right flank, she will cut in if you take the outside away. She doesn't mind dribbling. She's good with the ball at her feet.
Ellie Reed played collegiately, University of Portland.
Along with several other players on the Reign team. I'll give my nightly, daily Portland pilot love. You've got Pino, you've got Cox.
Keelan Winters.
You've got Keelan Winters, you've got Ellie Reed on the field, you've got Foxhoven and Frisbee on the bench. I'll ask Frenchie when she comes on at halftime what pilots call themselves in groups. Gaggles of pilots, piles of pilots. We'll ask her what the official thing is. We know Huskies are packs, so.
There you go.
Yeah, pilots, I'm not quite sure.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll
if
figure
Michelle
it out.
doesn't know, they need to work on
and if
that.
we don't,
They gotta come up with
we
one.
don't figure it out, I'll come up with it on my own.
A lot of pressure being applied defensively by the Red Stars, not wanting to allow Seattle the room and the possession that they would like to have.
Again, Seattle, I think, doing a better job of keeping the ball on the ground and moving the ball. They can continue to make Chicago just sort of stay in their defensive shape, defend against the counter so that they don't give anything up defensively.
Little.
So far, they've had an outstanding start to this game the first 16, 17 minutes.
Rapinoe. Kawasumi. Reed. Couldn't get much on that shot. Easy save for LeBlanc. Her coach Dame shouting out some instructions to his team.
Coach Dane shouting? Huh? Oh, yep, there I hear him.
Yeah, we can officially name him a third analyst. Mike's picking him up well. A nice visit with him before the game. Bywaters again. Press saying, I was going this way, don't play that direct ball.
Again, get in her book, get on her page would be my advice.
Cox. Taken right back by Winters. Off of Winino. Fletcher looking along for Little. Headed away nicely by Johnston. Sitch ahead to Tancredi, no foul.
Tancredi and Noguera, that's quite a matchup. That's a collision you just want to kind of close your eyes and see what comes out at the end, but.
Flag is down. Rapinoe with a cross, nobody there at the end of it.
And not happy about it. Can't tell if she's happy that she ended up on her rear or if no one finished that because it was right across the 6. I'm thinking it's the latter.
Winters.
Good patience here. This is where the Reign can do damage. If they're patient and picky and try to find seams, they're skillful enough to keep the ball. Just because they're around the top of the 18 doesn't mean they have to give the ball away or force something that's not on. They can pull it back out, draw Chicago out a bit, look for something to slip them in between their back line.
Reed. Bywaters getting a left foot on it. Taken away by the Red Stars. I thought Sitch was going to get there, but Fishlock beat her to the ball. Here's Cox. Back to Jess with room. Little. Well defended that time by Chicago. Abby Ursig.
Seattle still in possession. Again, a place where I feel they can be picky and patient with numbers forward.
Cox taken down. Winners, saved by LeBlanc. And trying to get it out of danger, but Seattle will continue to try to keep the pressure on. Here's Kawasumi.
Outstanding transition defense by the Seattle Reign to get another opportunity out of that. Now this is what they have to defend against, is the counter.
Bywaters. Press. Kalupny. L'Oreal play it over to Morway.
You know, this game, what this game is missing a little bit for Chicago is, I believe she's injured, is Vanessa DiBernardo. She's been an outstanding rookie, former U20 national team player, University of Illinois graduate, and has had a great rookie season, a great connector, a tireless worker in the midfield, great at playing forward, and again, a threat from distance out of the midfield.
21st minute here at Memorial Stadium in Seattle, the Moda Health pitch. We are scoreless, although the game and possession dominated so far by the Reign. Fishlock unable to keep that in. Good look right there at number 6, Abby Ursig. She also joined the Red Stars, I believe it was in June when she came on board. Fishlock, Nagara, Little. Nice backheel pass to Fishlock. Nagara. Well, they're working on some very nice combinations. That one broke down though. Nagara dropping it back to Lauren Barnes. Former player at UCLA. Kendall Fletcher on the ball, North Carolina. Some great programs in college soccer represented on this field, of course, by both clubs. Kawasumi tackled and taken down by Kalupny. There'll be a foul against Laurie and a free kick coming up for Seattle. And this one could serve Seattle just as well as a corner, depending upon how they decide they want to play it.
As I mentioned before, the U20 and the U23 national teams are here in attendance. And we're going to have in a minute Jillian Ellis, the U.S. women's full national team coach, join us and just talk about what she's seen here in the first 23 minutes.
Well, what are your thoughts, Coach?
Well, I mean, certainly Seattle's been dangerous, and I think they've been very, you know, their interplay and their creativity in the final third is pretty apparent. Obviously, she's moved Little and Fishlock, you know, further up the field, and you know they're just very good at playing off each other. And Rapinoe now added to that, you know, that mix obviously gives a lot of creativity. But you know, interesting in Chicago because obviously they put press central to pair up with Tancredi and looking to almost counter and almost put 2v2 situations to catch. Obviously, Seattle's outside backs high in transition, but you know, I think Chicago, I think for them, they need to kind of go back to what's been working for them, was a little bit more possession, a little bit more patience, and not just kind of looking for the transition. Although, you know, when Pressy's got it, when she's on,
kiss of death right here.
Go for it.
And this is Kristen Press working on Lauren Barnes. It will result in the first corner kick of the match for Chicago. By the way, Jill, it's nice to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, make you a regular on these
right.
broadcasts. You're welcome anytime. Talk a little bit more. We know we've got a good amount of Red Star fans watching back in the Chicago area. How you see it this time anyway, Kristen Press fitting into your program.
I mean, Press is, you know, I think she's very versatile. I mean, I think she can play wide. She's good isolated. You can play off of her. Hang on, let the corner go.
Headed away by Rapinoe, and there's Kristen. Nega took it right away from her. Nice ball played out to Kawasumi, but Chicago recovering well defensively. That was Keisha Morway.
But back to Kristen Press.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kristen is, you know, she went away to Europe and obviously has kind of honed her craft, and she's obviously a very good goal scorer. So, I mean, for me, I think she's going to be a big part of our team, certainly. And again, as I said, the versatility. She can play out wide and be isolated. She can play sort of in a 10 role, and she can play in a 9 role. So I think that versatility, and obviously the combination of her pace and her technical ability, makes her a very exciting player.
And one of the things about Kristen Press for me, Jill, and you can speak to this too, is that scoring a goal is probably one of the toughest things to do in soccer.
Right.
It's just the limited number of opportunities at the international level she seems to need to be able to finish.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of that ties into her mentality. I mean, she's always looking for that window, and it's oftentimes you kind of like, oh, it's a tough angle, and then she, she pulls it off. So, I think as coaches, you definitely want to continue to encourage her to do that. I mean, obviously, it was good decisions, but she does. She finds the back of the net from 25 yards, and she finds it from inside 18. So.
And you think about Alex Morgan at the beginning of her full-team national team career and the kind of pace she was scoring goals. Compare and contrast the two of those players.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Alex sort of paid her dues on the bench and then came in, and I think, I think Alex is obviously, she likes to get out to the left side, likes to use her feet, and I mean, I think Alex now has the dimension of being able to come off the line. So I think there's definitely similarities. They're both very athletic players, and I think they've got more dimensions to their game than just running in behind, and I think they show that.
Terrific takeaway by Kawasumi. Seattle looking to counter here.
Oh.
A little just could not get on the end of that pass. Jill, we have the pleasure here of watching Kim Little, and while you don't get to coach her, somebody does, and
Maybe
at least
she has an American great-grandparent.
I've already asked her. I don't think that's an option. But in terms of her skill set and what she brings, just your thoughts on Kim.
I mean, we, as Leslie alluded to, we've got our younger teams here, the 20s and the 23s, and a couple of them, I said to them, watch this player because, her movement is so good, her understanding of space, and obviously she's technically very good, but I just think she's a classic player to watch in just how you move on and off the ball, and always finds herself in good spots. Again, and I think her mentality, I mean, her IQ is very high, but obviously her mentality, she likes to pull the trigger as well. So, I mean, she's certainly a handful. I think our 20s played them earlier in the week, and I think some of them were commenting on, kind of the wow factor with her.
I know, Jill.
She's a special talent.
I know, Jill, the last time you were here, and also this time, you've had a chance to spend a little time with Coach Laura Harvey, and it's interesting and fun to listen to the two of you talk the game. What kind of things have you picked up from her, and what kind of things have you kind of shared back and forth?
Yeah, I mean, obviously she's playing a similar system to what we're playing, and so we've had some conversations, and we're working on getting a bigger attacking shape, and I think that's something she likes to do as well, get her outside backs high and get them involved in the game. And I think with the players that we have at outside back, we definitely want them to get high and involved. So some similarities in just how we're looking for our players to play in those roles. Mm-hmm. And just that balance of having the ability to open a game up with a penetrative pass, and then be patient and build up. I mean, so I think seeing the game very similarly, and yeah, I just think, I mean, she's great. She's very open to talk to, and like I've said to all the NWSL coaches, I'd love for them to come in and come into a training camp and watch their players in that environment as well.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Stephanie Cox taking I think that was a hit to the head for both of them. That didn't look great at all.
Yeah, trying to pick up the Chicago player, unable to see her number, but it is Stephanie Cox who is down. The foul went against the Red Star, and that was Winino, Michelle Winino. So we'll hope that both of them are okay. Certainly no intent on Michelle's part. Free kick coming up for Seattle, and of course, you want to make very, very sure when you're talking about any type of head issue that you're not dealing with a concussion. We saw a really quite scary situation in the Men's World Cup final when a German player just really got clocked and probably should not have returned to the field, did, and then had to come off. So anything when you're talking about head or neck.
It happened a few different times. You just have to dial up Taylor Twellman and ask how many, because he was counting. There's got to be something looked at as far as the protocol for that, but a lot of times players and their stubbornness, or they can kind of pull it off that they're fine to go in.
Nice service that time by Kendall Fletcher. LeBlanc is there. While I have the both of you here, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I think Mia Hamm and there were other players talking about what is a proper age. And we've got a lot of youth players listening. What's a proper age for young players, boys or girls, to begin bringing heading into the sport of soccer. What do you recommend?
In my opinion, I think when they start playing the game, I know at our camps when they're even really little, we have them heading balloons or beach balls, because that's the thing I think people neglect a little bit, is teaching them the proper heading technique. So if the technique is right, really they're going to suffer, I feel, very little concussion risk by heading properly. The issue becomes in soccer more often than not is head-to-head contact, not learning how to shield the ball, or just in general, taking hits with arms and elbows as opposed to heading the ball itself. So, it's one of those things that you can go round and round in soccer about. But if you, just like teaching them any skill, I think the younger they are to teach them the proper technique in the right way is going to prevent any kind of injury.
Second corner coming up for Chicago. Bywaters to take it. Far post. Winino had a head on it, last touched by one of the Reign players. So to the other corner go the Red Stars. Actually, had a number of years ago, my daughter served me up a corner just because I wanted to know what it felt like.
Knock you out?
One was enough.
Yeah.
I only asked her to do that just one time. Third corner of the match for the Red Stars.
And as much possession as the Seattle Reign have had here in this first half.
Left foot.
Still no goal for the Reign.
It was another corner coming up.
And now a little bit more run of play for Chicago, more numbers up front, and 2 corners earned back-to-back. So again, we've talked about the Reign their last 8 to 10 games, giving up goals first, not getting on top of teams. With all the possession they had, they really didn't have, they maybe had one dangerous shot that Karina had to do something about, but they didn't get they didn't really put the nail in the coffin on any of their chances early, and now they find themselves again in a knotted situation late into the half.
Into Sitch, back to Bywaters. Did not have a touch that she was looking for, and Seattle's able to clear it out courtesy of the left foot. That time it was Kim Little. Up ahead, Fishlock unable to control the ball. Good recovery defense that time by Chicago.
One of the positions on your team, Jill, that has kind of maybe come into question, or you're still looking to figure out who plays in those spots. What about the holding midfield spot? The 6 and the 8, the real anchor of the team. I know you have a lot of attacking type midfield players, and trying to convince someone to sit consistently is probably a little bit more difficult. But who do you see? Who's the pool of players that you're looking at there?
Well, I think just first, I think you touched on it. I mean, I don't think we can play with somebody just sitting. I think, nowadays I think we need our midfielders to play both sides. So I think it's got to be a balance, and it's teaching them, when one's going, obviously one sits. But, starting with the players that we've been playing and looking at.
Here's Press with the header. Sorry, Jill, didn't mean to cut you off.
We've had Holidays obviously been playing in there, and Carly, and obviously Box is coming back, and so we need to have a look at her as well, kind of coming back from having a baby. So, Ali Long, I think she's done very well in the league, and we've played her in there a couple times against France, and I like Ali. I think she's hard. She's got hardness about her, and I think she can, also be calm on the ball and help us build. I mean, that's. That to me is the important piece right now, is how we build out, and that player becomes very, very important. Morgan Bryan she's someone we've looked at in that deeper spot as well, because again, very calm on the ball, looks to play very simple in that spot. So I think we've got definitely some options, and I think that's we have a longer camp in September, and that's where we start to kind of look at those players. But I like obviously Carly and Holiday, and I think if they can find a balance as to who goes and who doesn't. That's something we can kind of work on, that relationship, because both of them can hit such wonderful balls from deep positions.
Fishlock trying to flick it on to Rapinoe, unable to make that connection.
And Chicago's seeing a little bit more of the play here, and that last switching ball, and Ellie Reed caught out of position, and a ball across to an open Kristen Press, who I think would like to have that opportunity back. Chicago's looked a bit more dangerous here in the last 10 minutes or so. Well, certainly exciting, Jill, to be thinking about the World Cup next year. This week we've had the under-23 national team, the under-20 national team, who are here in the crowd training. Michelle French and Steve Swanson, the head coaches of those two teams, will come in at halftime to chat a little bit about the development of those programs, the purposes, and Frenchie to talk about the upcoming U20 World Cup. And, we can look at the field right now and pick out a couple different, Vanessa DiBernardo on the bench, but Julie Johnson playing, and some of these U20 World Cup players that are coming into the league. And it's just, it's got to be for you, I know it is for me, exciting to see these kids starting to filter into the system, with so much experience as opposed to in the past, lacking the experience and taking too long to become full national team players because the level is such a big hop.
Certainly, I mean, and that's kind of how we'll be able to measure if this is working. If our players at the younger age groups are matriculating up. But yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed watching them. They're going to play each other tomorrow, so I'm going to enjoy watching some of them because, certainly with the 23s, I mean, Steve doesn't bring in the age-eligible league players because obviously they're in the middle of the season. But so it's been good. I think he's had some newer players or different players in there to have a look at. And yeah, I've enjoyed watching them play.
We talked about Morgan Bryan being in the mix. Samantha Mewis has been in with the full team before. They're in with the 23s this week, so the ability for them to move up, move back, get more experience, more training, be the leaders in one group and the little fledglings in the other group.
Right.
It's just, U.S. Soccer has done a great job, and you and April in particular, giving these players the opportunity to be in outstanding training environments and learn and, basically build the future of the team.
Yeah, I mean, and I've just watched the 23s. I mean, looking at them today. I mean, Dolkamp is a player that certainly is, has done very well in addition to the two that you just mentioned. So yeah, it's exciting.
I'm looking down at both groups sitting down here below us, and they are just wide-eyed and locked in to their position, to what the level looks like, to hopefully. I know many of them aspiring to be on professional teams, whether they're here in the NWSL or abroad. We've got a couple players in with the 23s that are leaving to play on foreign teams. Katie Stengel's going over to play in Germany for Bayern, and Aubrey Bledsoe, also from Wake Forest, is headed to Norway to play for Grande Bodo. So, these players are getting a lot of opportunities these
Certainly.
days.
I mean, they see there's a future and there's an opportunity, and I think it's great. Fantastic.
Corner coming up for Chicago. Jill, thanks for coming by. We really
pleasure.
appreciate it. As
All
you
right.
know,
I'll be back next week. No, I'm just kidding.
you're welcome every time.
Jill,
All right.
And if
Jill
we
Ellis.
see you, you can't get out of it.
All
That's
right.
the
Seattle,
problem.
Take care, you guys.
Seattle to Miami, corner to corner.
Thank you, Jill. Jill Ellis, head coach of the U.S. women's national team. Fifth corner coming up for the Red Stars as we remain scoreless in Seattle in the 37th minute. Bywaters. Far post, looking for Winino. It'll be a Chicago throw-in. Keeping you busy over at the UW with national teams and your camp this past week.
Yeah,
This little gig you got going on here.
Yeah, it's fun, The more soccer, the better. The more opportunities, environments to learn in, the better for anybody. And I've had the great pleasure this week of working alongside my associate head coach, Amy Griffin, who's the goalkeeper coach for the under-23 team, with the head coach of Virginia and the head coach of the under-23, Steve Swanson, and being able to coach players at that level and many of the players that I played against in my college team.
Well, yellow card for Megan Rapinoe. She certainly did not agree with that as she took, that was Adriana Leone down, so Adriana okay. Free kick for the Red Stars.
And this game here, again, for all the possession that Seattle had early on, Chicago's looked dangerous. They've had multiple restarts that haven't really amounted to much, but I think Seattle would be happy to get back into possession a little bit more and find one before the half.
Cox, opposite side of the field, we normally see Stephanie. Right-footed service. And cleared out by Winino. Throw in for the Reign.
I don't know if this is a permanent switch or switch just based on where they came out in transition off the restart. Be interesting to see. I think it was just because of the restart. You see Steph jogging back over to the left side.
Good look at Kim Little, 11 goals we mentioned, leading the National Women's Soccer League, also 3 assists. Right behind her, 9 goals each. Actually, at 10 goals, you have Amy Rodriguez and Jessica McDonald of Portland, who scored 33 seconds into the Thursday night game with Chicago. Jessica spent some time with the Reign here last season.
So this game is settled in with less than a little bit more than 5 minutes to go. the pace of the game, the ball movement, it's all slowed down just a little bit. Chicago, again, happy to sort of sit back, defend a little bit more than half the field and wait for turnovers like that to try to counter going forward with Preston Tancredi.
By Waters. Here's Tancredi. And Solo there. Good look at Hope, whose goals against average just a little bit better than LeBlanc's at .929. LeBlanc at .933. And of full-time keepers in the NWSL, those are the top two numbers. Haley Kopmeyer, who is Solo's backup, actually has the best number. Third of a goal per game average against.
Way to go, Cop.
Her limited action. Nicely done, huh? 3 games for her. Haley did a terrific job.
Couple shutouts.
Obviously a credit to her, her mental preparation. She works very hard in practice and took advantage of the opportunity. Fletcher in the direction of Little.
And Little's going to run that ball down, but again, with their numbers back and their team set, I'm not sure that's exactly the way you want to go. I still think there's plenty of space in the midfield for Seattle to include Nogueira, Winters, Fishlock to try to play through.
So let me ask you this. Is there a natural tendency, even when you have the success that Seattle was having passing the ball? Let's take a look at this build up with Little. Kawasumi. Cross to the far post. Fishlock the header. Drops to Little. Nogueira. Reed. Keelan Winters. Kawasumi.
It's good patience here by the Reign.
Ellie Reed. Left foot and well off target.
I would love nothing better than to see Ellie Reed score.
You know who else feels that way?
Ellie Reed.
Ellie Reed.
Yeah. She
wanted to ask you before they started getting that offensive surge going, Leslie, even when you're moving the ball as effectively as they have for a good portion of the first half, when you don't get the payoff in the goal, do you sometimes have that tendency to start going a little more direct?
Absolutely. You kind of lose your patience. You kind of want to get it done. You feel like you deserve a goal. I mean, obviously there's times, you know, when they're pushed out and if it looks like there's a good run in behind and a good matchup to go longer. But, you know, the time that Fletcher picked there, I don't think necessarily was. The good news is the transition defense behind it was good in that they didn't clear the ball that well and they stepped up in the midfield to get it back pretty quickly. So I wouldn't want to see them kind of go to that impatience consistently, because I just don't think that's the way that they want to play or the way they're going to score.
Little. Winters. Nogueira. LeBlanc saved again. That time it was Fletcher with a shot. Terrific work by Karina LeBlanc to
Great
keep this
recovery
game
defense
scoreless.
by Kendall Fletcher. Great recovery by Kendall Fletcher to come back.
Rapinoe with a left foot. Oh, not happy with herself.
You know, that's one of the things. Those are little things, but you hope that these players sitting here, the U20s, the under-23s, watching this match. Kendall Fletcher didn't score. Karina LeBlanc, I don't know if it hit the post or her hand, but we'll see. It was an outstanding save.
Save there.
I think it was the post.
Yeah.
But watch Kendall Fletcher's recovery defending for them to win the ball back. She separates the player from the ball. Naho picks it up and they get another chance out of it.
Yeah, here's press. Kristen Press still on the ball, trying to create some room to get a shot off.
Great
Reed
separation
with a good
by
depth.
Reed.
Yep. And Nogueira came in.
Pino really open on the far side if someone could have found her there.
By Waters with a shot, not much on it. An easy save for Hope Solo. Updating the scoring in the league, I believe Jess McDonald in the 6-3 win at home today. Portland over Boston did get a goal, so I think she is, that would tie her with Kim Little for the league lead with 11. And that game today was Portland's 19th, and this game for Seattle the 18th.
Someone was asking me if Jill Ellis liked cats or dogs better. Dogs. Someone on Twitter.
You know all,
there we go.
You have all the answers.
Just want to put it to rest. I don't know why this person cares about that, but dogs.
Fell on Fletcher. She took out Tancredi, pleading her case. Boy, she is, that's about as fired up as I've seen Kendall over a call this season, at least here at home.
I like it. I want to see Fletch do a backflip on a bad call.
Take a look at it. There's
no
nothing
arms
there.
up, nothing.
Nothing there. She had a legitimate beef.
Yeah, and Tancredi backing into her. There wasn't a foul on either of them. It was a, you know, if I'm Fletcher, I'd be upset also.
Chicago tried to take advantage of the beneficial call. Now Kim Little getting a brief talking to from David Mon, the official, the referee today. Kalupny or Bywaters. Bywaters serving it in the direction of Ursig. Goal kick for Seattle. So we are now into extra time here in the first half. I did not see a number held up by the fourth official. Would guess we'd be in the neighborhood of about 2, maybe 3 minutes.
There hasn't been too much to slow down the first half. I'd say this game has taken on more of a clean game than the last game we watched them play at home, as far as the fouls, the yellow cards, the sort of just lack of soccer that happened in this game. This one's been a little bit more enjoyable to watch, a little bit better on the eye.
Barnes ahead to Cox. Seattle swings it to the near side with Fletcher on the move. Kawasumi. You saw she was trying to make the connection with Fishlock. Just could not get there. Leslie, one of the things to look forward to finding out at the start of the second half, Megan Rapinoe, as we reach halftime, is will Megan start the second half? That may be a transition point for her out of the match as she's working on her game fitness coming back. All in all, your impressions? I mean, I think Seattle has to feel good in general about the way it played, but it all comes down to finishing.
Yeah, they hadn't done what they have been doing, which is give up a goal. So, you know, they go in even at halftime. I think they can be happy with a lot of what went on. But the finishing piece definitely is something that that needs to happen. I don't think they were, you know, as dangerous with their chances as they could have been. A couple posts, but still enough numbers and enough building and enough talent and play inside the box for them to have gotten a goal out of that. But 0-0 at half, and we'll see if Chicago comes out, presses more, or still tries to sit and counter as much as they were. But, you know, you have to hand it to Chicago. They hung around, and they ended up creating a few things at the end that could have been dangerous. So a good match so far, and I'm enjoying this game better than I enjoyed their last home game against Chicago.
I'm with you on that. And look, I think Coach Dames has to feel good about the fact that, look, they weathered a bit of an early storm. Maybe for about the first 20, 25 minutes, Seattle really with a strong run of play, and then Chicago started to get its imprint on this game. And as you mentioned, Leslie, got some chances late, so things at the end of the first 45 certainly seemed fairly balanced between these teams. And as I mentioned earlier in the half, Rory Dames felt like, you know, of the 180 minutes they've played, they've really only had 15 bad minutes against Seattle. So we certainly have an interesting 45 coming our way in the second half. We'll take a break for a few moments. When we come back, Leslie will be having a conversation with two of the outstanding youth coaches inside the U.S. women's program. So we look forward to that. We'll step aside for a few moments and rejoin you here shortly. Halftime in Seattle, the Reign and the Red Stars 0-0.
Next summer in 6 Canadian cities coast to coast, the best in the world will compete in the FIFA Women's World Cup Canada 2015.
The world will be here. I'll be here. Will you?
Be there when tickets go on sale September 10th at fifa.com/Canada 2015.
Welcome back, and my pleasure to be joined at halftime today by two very dear friends and colleagues. Local legend Michelle French, aka Frenchie, head coach of the U.S. Under-20 national team here in camp since the 9th, preparing for their Under-20 World Cup in Canada. Also U23 head coach at the University of Virginia, Steve Swanson, who my associate head coach Amy Griffin and I have had the pleasure of working with this week with the Under-23s. So let's get to it and let's talk youth soccer. First of all, Frenchie, let's get your take on the first half of the rain game, and then we'll get to your U20s.
The fact that we just played them in a little bit of a scrimmage, it's been really exciting to watch them compete against obviously another professional team. Their speed of play, their movement off the ball, the variety in the way that they play is good for our girls at least to watch, and even better for us to play against.
That's great. And Steve, your first time here in Seattle for a pro game, the Sounders-Tottenham game yesterday, the Reign Chicago game today. What are your impressions of the soccer scene here in Seattle, and in particular the Reign game?
Well, it's always been strong. I've Kevin coached at Stanford and come up here a couple times to play your teams, Leslie. It's good to be back, but it's amazing to see the atmosphere here, and it's great to see such a strong franchise in the MLS thriving, and then to see this one here doing the same thing and having such a good season. I think it's great for soccer, and Seattle's such an important part of our soccer landscape in the country. For it to be good, it's important.
And Steve found himself a couple years ago in the same shoes that Frenchie's wearing now, which is the head coach of the Under-20 national team. They won the gold medal in Japan in 2012. 11? 12. I lose my years. And now coaching with the Under-23s. He's been in as assistant coach with Jill Ellis with the full team, so he's been able to see the gamut. Talk about the Under-23 national team and the camp that's going on currently, and what that means for that age group and those players that are aspiring to this behind us and full team status.
Well, there's a gap obviously between the 20s and the full team, and I think there's a lot of players that have come up. If you look at the pyramid, they've come up through the ranks of the youth national team, or in college it could be late bloomers, and so they're not all going to be able to play on that full team right away, but they're hopefully going to be players that could at some point. And so to have the opportunity to play with the Under-23s, to get some experience with the 23s, I think it's extremely valuable for them in making it to the next level. So we've tried to spread these camps out over the years so that the first two, maybe we involve the pro players that still are age eligible, and then these last two in June and July are more college players that potentially could be late bloomers, that could have developed maybe over the last couple of years, that we think maybe have possibilities to make the full team.
And before I get to Frenchie, just briefly, talk about a few of the players that you had with the Under-20s that are with this 23 group. Morgan Bryan, one of your players at the University of Virginia, Sam Mewis, Sarah Killian, Abby Smith, some of the players that are in that have World Cup experience, but also full team, they're pretty close. What's that difference? What's that edge that's got them kind of teetering in between both of those teams right now?
Well, I think it's the experience. I think it's getting more internationals under their belt. It's getting games that the Under-23s can play. I think those kinds of things are very important for their development. So, like I said, there's a jump between the youth national teams and the full national team, and you try to bridge that as best you can with quality games and quality experiences for them. And the 23s hopefully can bridge that gap. And we've got a lot of players that have done awfully well, that I think if they didn't have this, there would be something missing, I think, for them as they try to make the national team.
Absolutely. And let's talk about your group, Frenchie. They're going to break camp here in a couple days. You've named your final roster. You've been here since the 9th of July. You've been in this cycle for over a year now, or about a year. Yeah. And we're getting ready for the big dance up in Canada.
Yeah.
Super excited for you. Talk about your group. Talk about the team you've named and what you're looking towards.
I think one of the great things about our team is that we have kids from a lot of different birth years. I think there's been a big push with our federation to encourage the young players to come up and give them an opportunity. And if you would have told me at the beginning of the cycle I'd end up with 5 or 6 younger players, I would have been pretty shocked and not believed you. So at this point, to have those players come in and make an extreme impact is great. We've got a chunk of players from the World Cup from the U17s who are bringing that experience to our team. And then, of course, our 94 birth year with 2 players that played on Steve's team in the U20 World Cup in 2012 have brought great leadership to this group. So a wide variety of birth years, and more importantly, a wide variety of skills and qualities that everyone brings.
And just what can you see? What strengths, without giving too much away to anybody, but what are the strengths of this team, do you think?
We have great creativity and movement off the ball. The players are a lot more technical than I've seen in a while in the youth teams, and I think that's going to be a big bonus for us to allow us to have a quick speed of play, and then also the 1v1 creativity that players have on the ball. I think that's going to be one of the most exciting parts of our team.
So unlike the ad we saw right before this for next season, or for next year's Women's World Cup in 2015 in Canada, Vancouver is not a site for any of the U20. You guys start out in Edmonton. Talk about your group a little bit.
Germany, Brazil, and China. So Germany actually lost to France in their qualifiers, and basically with Germany and France, you have 2 great teams. So Brazil winning their qualifiers, and China, pulling up, Japan doesn't qualify. So any Asian team that actually makes the World Cup when Japan doesn't, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So it's an exciting challenge for us. They all pose different threats and problems for us in regards to the way that they play and in their formation. So we're going to be tested definitely every game. So
have you leaned on Steve at all, his experience at the World Cup in 2012? They took the big hit in group play against Germany, and then they came back to win the whole thing.
Right.
So you just got to stay calm, carry on. Is that the mantra, Steve?
Well, I think that the World Cup, I think it's one of those things that, anything can happen, and you have to be prepared for a lot of scenarios. I think we got better in the tournament 2 years ago, and I think the experience that we had in the loss against Germany was invaluable to us in winning the World Championship. So I think your players have to recognize that it's going to be a long haul, and they have to be prepared for the long haul, that you can't get too carried away with one game, whether it's you've done really well or you haven't done well. And I think from what I can tell, Frenchie's done a great job building the team. I think it's a similar bracket. It was almost deja vu looking at the bracket this time as opposed to last time, except we had Ghana and now you have Brazil. So, but they've got a lot of quality players there. They're meshing together as a team. We've seen that this week at camp, and wish them the best of luck. I think there's a lot of things going for them now.
Yeah, and it'll be fun for the U23s and 20s to match up tomorrow in a close scrimmage. Just kind of send you on your way with a little bit more preparation. Second half of this game, Chicago, rain. What do you think needs to happen, Frenchie, in this, other than a goal?
Yeah, exactly. You stole my line. I think Chicago's done a pretty good job the second part of that first half, getting a little bit better rhythm, playing a couple direct balls where Prescott has gotten in and has had an opportunity. So if they can catch the rain on the counter, I think they have an opportunity to get a goal.
And I know you've watched the rain a lot, being the hometown gal. The move of Fishlock and Little to be up front to start the game as opposed to chase the game and move them later on.
Right.
They got a lot of looks. You see one coming for them. Do you like that move by Laura to start the game this way?
I like it because I think it's exciting when Little gets pushed a little bit higher. I have a feeling there'll be a little bit more combination play between the two of them the second half.
Steve, anything? What do you think?
Well, I think Seattle obviously has had a lot of possession. They didn't turn their possession into some quality looks, although Little had a great look there at the top of the box. But I think it'll come from the flank. That's my thing. I think the first goal will come from the flank, and if they can get good penetration in from the outside and kind of connect across to a run, I think they could get something and open the game up a little more.
Yeah. Okay, so I gave my weekly or whatever game time pilot love earlier. We see Christine Sinclair on the World Cup preview. We've got Portland pilot Michelle French here. We've got a boatload of them on the field. So the question was asked, because I know Huskies, you're a pack of Huskies. What is it, a gaggle of pilots? I know the answer because someone tweeted it. Do you know what a group of pilots is?
I don't.
It's a yoke of pilots.
Yeah, no.
Well, we're going to, you and your yoke of pilots, I want to wish them the best of luck. But more importantly, Frenchie, good luck in the World Cup. Everyone's rooting for you. Everyone's rooting for your team. And it's just fun to see you move up the ranks and be at the helm of this team. I know you're going to do great things. Steve, been great working with you this week. And go USA.
Thanks, Les.
And we'll be back for the second half after the break.
Just about ready to begin the second half here at Memorial Stadium in Seattle. We're scoreless between the Chicago Red Stars and the NWSL leading Seattle Reign. Tom Glasgow along with Leslie Gallimore, head coach at the University of Washington. Well, Coach, you do it all. You work as an analyst, and then you just take over halftime. Well done.
Well, you know, whatever little rope leeway they're going to give me, I'm going to take it, and I'm either going to pull myself up or hang myself with it, Tom. So hopefully I didn't hang myself.
And tell everybody who we have coming up in the second half joining us.
Second half, the Cavalcade of Stars continues. We have youth national team coordinator, former Olympic and U.S. national team coach April Heinrichs.
So we look forward to that. Let me give you some of the stats from halftime shots in the first half. Seattle with 9, Chicago with 2 shots on goal. The Reign with 5, the Red Stars with 1. 4 saves for Karina LeBlanc in goal for the Red Stars. Hope Solo with just 1 save. Seattle 4 corner kicks. Chicago with 5. In terms of fouls, both teams with 4 in the first half. We do not have an attendance number to send your way at this time. Just 1 yellow card in the first half. That was handed out to Megan Rapinoe, and Megan will be starting the second half, so we'll see how long she can go. We have Bev Goebel and Sydney LaRue on the bench and ready to play when given the call here this afternoon against Chicago. And the Reign coming in with just 1 loss on the season, and that was against the Chicago club back in Illinois 8 days ago, 1-0. Alyssa Tancredi with an early goal in the match, and Chicago defended well enough the rest of the way to hand Seattle its first loss of the season after a 16-game unbeaten streak to open the 2014 campaign.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if there are any adjustments this half, any changes for either team.
See any lineup changes for Seattle. And quick glance out at the Red Stars, and it looks like they're back with their original 11 as well. It's Lauren Barnes on the ball. She'll play it back to Hope Solo.
Hope hasn't really had too much to do, and I'm sure she would like to keep it that way. But as Steve alluded to in the first half, what they don't want to do is give the Red Stars that opportunity to pick one and counter.
Those quiet halves can sometimes set a goalie up. I mean, you can have a brief mental lapse if it comes at the wrong time. I wonder if in some respects it's almost better from a goalie's perspective to have a little more activity.
Yeah, definitely. You want to get touches on the ball, if not played into your feet, or at least, have a few things to do, because you're exactly right. My associate head coach and U.S. Youth National Team goalkeeper coach, Amy Griffin, will tell you one of the toughest things to do, particularly when you're the goalkeeper for the U.S. National Team and you play on a great team, is you're not going to be that busy most of the time, is to stay mentally focused, plugged into the game, attached to your back line, Always be saying, what if we lose it? Are we okay? Are we in good shape? And try to prevent shots. But again, if you haven't had a lot of touches on the ball, one can kind of bite you if you come unplugged for a little bit.
Kawasumi. Ellie Reed. Flicked on nicely by Kim Little. And Chicago simply has to play it out. Julie Johnston sends it out for a Seattle throw in. Ball deflected away. Ursig. Good recovery helped that time by Tancredi. Chicago maintains possession. Press out to Bywaters. The drop to Kolupny.
They're cranking up the tunes at Bite of Seattle. It's starting to get ramped up.
Sounds like a pretty good band over there.
Yeah. Are we going to have a game while Bumbershoot, where actual concerts going on in the field Labor Day weekend, or?
Always a lot going on
Yeah.
at Seattle Center. Cox plays it ahead. Johnson heads it out. Winners for Seattle. Comes Cox on the overlap. Press intercepts the pass from Fishlock, and then Jess gets it right back.
The transition defense by Seattle has been pretty solid. They lose it, they've stormed, they've swarmed, they've fought, they've won it right back, typically in the front half. I think that's something they've had to have talked about, because this is the best I've seen them really swarm and get the ball back after losing it in the front half in quite a while.
Dangerous service by Rapinoe, deflected away by the Red Stars.
Really dangerous. That's the type of serve. Steve made the prediction. Whatever goal comes, he thinks it's going to come from the flank. So let's see if he's prophetic.
And Rapinoe thought she had a corner kick. It's a goal kick for LeBlanc. Mistiming on that header, so a throw in for Seattle. It's an afternoon, feels very fall-like.
Yeah, it's a little
here in
nippy
Seattle, at least after we've had a really nice run, almost 2 weeks straight of temperatures in the 80s.
entire 2 weeks at the under-20s and the under-23s have been here at camp. It's just been stellar weather, almost bordering on too warm a few of the days.
Yeah.
But they've really enjoyed the Northwest, and we're hopeful, and we're certainly honored and privileged to be able to play host to them over at the UW. And they've been fun to have, and I really do want to wish Frenchie the best in her quest to go win a World Cup title. And I think the good news is, for Youth World Cups, U.S. Soccer has good perspective. When she talked about moving younger players up, that's something that definitely has to happen, so the international cap number there isn't such a big gap between a veteran player and a younger player. Mia Hamm, Julie Foudy, Christine Lilly, Joy Biefeld Fawcett, they all got their starts at 15, 16 years old when there weren't youth national teams, or not the kind of programming they have now. But you got to start pushing players up if they're good enough. You got to spot those players, and you got to give them time.
Well, I tell you what, it is such an accomplishment to get to even where they are right now. When you just think of the sheer numbers of youth soccer in this nation, male and female, boys and girls, to reach this level, I'm sure they all appreciate it, and I know they should be proud of what they've been able to accomplish up to this point. So Megan Rapinoe gets 50 minutes in tonight, and that's good progress for Megan. Sydney LaRue coming on. Good look at Sydney right there, number 2, 3 goals this season. So she'll be looking to add a 4th, and an opportunity here for the Red Stars. Dangerous situation. Ball served in, headed away. I think that may have been Mariah Noguera who got it out of the 18.
And Sid LaRue coming in off the bench, obviously is going to provide that breakaway pace, can get in behind players. Hasn't been a spot that she has been accustomed to this season for the Reign. Great to see Pino get as many minutes as she has. That service from the flank, the ability to create with the other two, might be missed a little bit.
Great job by Leon there to create at least the opportunity to send a ball in. Not the quality that she was looking for. Goal kick coming up for Hope Solo. Are there any players that jump to your mind on either of these clubs that are here tonight, the 20s and the 23s, with Northwest ties?
With the 20s and the 23s. Our goalkeeper from the University of Washington, Megan Kufeld, is with the 23s. Let's see, Oregon players, a lot of California kids.
It's the weather.
Yeah, from schools spread out all over the country. A lot of ACC, a lot of Pac-12 players, and just really, honestly, great kids. A lot of high school kids, obviously, on the 20s that are up and coming, but. I have to be careful of whose names I mention.
Oh no, I understand.
But it's it's been really, really fun to be around these players and watch them train. Their training habits are something that any youth player, any college player for that matter, should be able to hone in on and say, you know what, this is the difference between being them and being me, is that the work they put in on their own, the amount of time they spend with the ball and how technical they are, and then their competitiveness, their work rate, and their coachability is, when you get them all in one group, it's pretty special to watch.
Foul on Nagara. And this is another very good set piece opportunity coming up for the Red Stars. Kalepny on the ball. And the shove from behind by Mariah Nagara.
Yeah. Kalepny sold it. I don't think she shoved her as hard as she fell, but I think that time that was a legitimate exhale by the ref.
By Waters. Winnow with a header, Ursig. Good chance that time for Chicago. Goal kick for Hope Solo. '54th minute at Moda Health Pitch, Memorial Stadium here in Seattle. First year home for the Seattle Reign. Garen Press getting tangled up, no call there.
Cardinal on Cardinal, 2 Stanford grads in Press and Nagara.
Bywaters looking to create.
There's that speed we talked about early on from Zakiya Bywaters. Now she just has to get a little bit more vision, get her head up, and make some decisions with the ball. We talked about her not being on the same page with Press. She's got to learn to play a little bit quicker to take advantage of their attacking ability up front. Chicago looking to push numbers forward a little bit more. They've got 3 sitting on Seattle's back line currently, with Tancredi and Press sort of interchanging positions.
Tancredi offside flag up. Not had many offside calls in this match.
Yeah, and clearly not many offside calls. He could have done Hope a little bit of a favor and lacked a collision with Tancredi by whipping that thing up a little bit
just
quicker.
A little sooner.
A little quicker. I thought he was a little slow on the uptake there.
Melissa Tancredi, the lone goal scorer 8 days ago as the Red Stars defeated Seattle at home. She got that goal early in the match. Ball played long to her, and really, boy, I'd say she put quite a strike on her goal from not the easiest of angles, but it was good enough. A beauty, and held for the remaining 83 minutes or so as Chicago got the 1-0 victory. Kawasumi with a drop back to Fletcher.
You know, Chicago's certainly improved as the season has gone along and making a push here late in the season to be a tournament team.
Sitch. Leon with space into the box.
Fletcher sliding over a little bit late, and Lou Barnes biting a little bit on following her player to the wide spot, which you wouldn't see happen that often. Left a big gap between the center back and the outside back for them to play into. Got to be careful there.
First corner of the second half for Chicago, 6th of the match. Look at Kendall Fletcher in the center of your screen. Play is being delayed just a moment while Kawasumi ties a shoe. Bywaters. Far post flag up right away.
He heard me. His flag's now officially warmed up.
LaRue heads it back to Fishlock. Seattle looking to get something going here.
Oh, almost an outstanding ball.
Yeah.
Well read.
Great idea by Fishlock. Well
read
defended
by Warner.
Yep.
That was the spot you wanted to put it.
Nagara. Cox. Stephanie, such a good job playing under control. Never panics. Fletcher up ahead to Reed. Kawasumi. Naho was looking for a little, but the Red Stars' terrific defense. Kawasumi trying to get it back. And Chicago now hoping to get something going with press on the ball. Press with space. Taken away by Winters. Well done by Keelan. Stephanie Cox losing a boot. Or pass by LaRue, turning it over. Here's Bywaters. Fletcher with a recovery. And Solo clears it out. Kalupny. Tancredi could not get ahead on it. A bit of a ragged start for both clubs here early in the second half, 59th minute.
Yeah, you know, Chicago's giving Seattle a little bit different look and pushing up on their back line a little bit more, which should play into Seattle's favor, to be honest, and open up their midfield more. If they started this half like they started the first half, playing through Nagara and Winters and Fishlock, I think they'd have a little bit better run of the play. It has been a little bit ragtag to start the half.
Kim Little targeting Kawasumi, but Chicago well defends. And to throw in for the Reign. Coach, are you happy? Because I'm hearing it in the background. I don't believe it. I don't think it's actually.
I don't know what that is.
The original. Nagara. Seattle switching sides. Cox. Well, good defense that time by Johnston.
You know what the Reign's going to want to do, and what has been their bread and butter is, and you don't want to obviously take away the goal-scoring threat of Kim Little by having her come back for the ball too much. But now with the through threat of LaRue on, if she doesn't start seeing the ball more, you want her to start doing that, because we've said this time and time again, or at least I have. The less Kim Little has the ball, the worse off the Seattle Reign are. You need to get her on the ball.
When she's on the ball, she just puts so much pressure on the defense, and they have to pay so much attention to her. It's opening things up for her teammates up front.
Absolutely, Tom.
Winters with a drop back to Fletcher. She goes with a direct approach. Trying to find Kawasumi. Again, Chicago's back line doing a very solid job. Flag up on Tancredi.
His flag is warmed up. Or maybe he's just throwing his flag up to keep warm. It's a little chillier here than it has been.
It is. Here's Little. LaRue. Fishlock. An errant pass from Stephanie Cox looking for LaRue.
Yeah, I thought Fishlock was going to maybe go back to Barnes, but Tancredi took that one away, and that's an errant pass by Cox that you don't normally see.
LaRue back-to-back headers. Sitch takes LaRue out. No foul called on that play, but we have a stoppage. I think it's because Sydney is shaken up. That may be a case of her getting the wind knocked out of her. That collision was kind of in the
Not sure what Coach Dames
midsection.
is talking about over there, but the referees have cautioned him back to his technical area.
Yeah, you can see the way Sydney's gasping for her air. I think it was a case of getting the wind knocked out. Here it is coming up right here. That was Sitch coming in.
Yeah, it took one to the midsection there, I think.
So LaRue to the touch line, waiting to be sent back into play, and she's back on the pitch. Throw in for the Reign.
Yeah, the Reign's going to want to get a little bit of that possession they had in the first half back, move the ball a little bit more. Again, Chicago has earned their right to be one of the better defending teams statistically in the NWSL, rightfully so, and it's not easy to break them down. The mobility of the Reign has seemed to become less mobile this half. Passes are a little bit predictable, and they're making it fairly easy for Chicago to win the ball back and keep it in front of them.
Chicago 23 goals on the season heading into this match, 19 allowed. Record coming in, 7 wins, 6 losses, 5 draws for Seattle, 13 wins, 1 loss, 3 draws, 42 points to lead the table in the National Women's Soccer League. LaRue trying to chase that down. Good job by Johnston shielding Sydney off. It's a foul call on LaRue.
Not a bad, not a bad flaring run and not a bad ball down the channel by Lou Barnes, but again, it's not what you want to consistently see from the Reign as far as in their build-up or the way that they want to try to score. Bryna Garrett coming off. I think here we're going to see the reverse of what we've typically seen, which is Fishlock slide back, Little slide back, and Goebel go in up top. Again, Kim just not seeing enough of the ball. You've got to get her involved in the playmaking more. You've got to get her a little more freedom to come back to the ball and still keep a threat up front. Bev Goebel's been very good this year. She plays well with her back to goal. She plays well facing goal, and is a threat in a lot of different ways as a number 9.
Bev Goebel, 3 goals, 4 assists on loan from Japan. INAC club there that she shares with Kawasumi, their teammates in Japan, both coming over to Seattle.
April.
Barnes with a header. And Fletcher. This is Bev Goebel. Played collegiately, University of Miami. Ball still in play. LaRue and Sitch battling. Barnes playing it back to Fletcher. Seattle with 2 substitutions in this match, both coming in the second half. We've had no substitutions yet from Chicago head coach Rory Dames. Ellie Reed with room. Looking for LaRue. Loose ball, and LeBlanc covers it up. Best scoring opportunity in the second half for Seattle. Well-served ball by Ellie Reed.
Yep, Ellie Reed, that's what she does best, is come up and down that flank on the right side, and unfortunate for Seattle there not to poke one in. Well, our pleasure, the Cavalcade of Stars continues, and we are, my pleasure in particular, longtime friend and colleague, to welcome April Heinrichs, the technical director for U.S. women's soccer, former national team coach, former Olympic coach, former World Cup champion. all-around great gal. Want to talk to April a little bit, one about this game and what she thinks about it. Welcome, April.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
April, great to have you with us. Your thoughts on what we've seen so far in the second half?
Oh, I think it's great. We have about 50 young players here with our youth national team watching. And I think what they get to see is good shape, high speed of play, high volume of passes. They get to see some of the nation's top players right in front of their eyes. And it's good. The game itself, I think, is showing that the fatigue is setting in mid-season. There's a lot of unforced turnovers. And Chicago's hanging in there. And to be honest, Seattle is going to feel disappointed if they don't get 3 points out of this game. So we might be in for some excitement here.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it. You know, Seattle came out in the shape they came out with Pino starting and a little bit of a different look in their front four, front five, with a lot of energy, a lot of the possession, and a lot of, you know, I wouldn't say great chances, but definitely activity in and around the box. And when they didn't get a goal out of that and the half started to wane on, and even the start of the second half has been a little lackluster for them. Yeah. You know, we've seen them time and time again get late goals this season, but I think you're exactly right. They'll be disappointed if they don't get 3 points here and they go lost tie back-to-back against Chicago, or worse.
But you know, we haven't seen either keeper have to make a huge save. LeBlanc took a little bit of risk there because Sydney Leroux will always take a risk.
Yeah.
It's going to be a foul on Johnston and a yellow card, the first issued to a Red Star player in this match, as Kim Little was taken out, and a very good set play opportunity here coming up for the Reign as we get another look at the foul and
Julie
the
Johnson,
card.
Former youth national team player, now with the women's full team. She's not afraid to go into a challenge, and you know, that's why you got to love her. She's not going to give you anything for free. But what you did see there, the build-up and the possession for the Reign was Naho come in from the right side to get the ball. They're a little bit more mobile up front. Kim Little coming back into the midfield, playing off one another. It was getting a little stagnant there for a while, and it wasn't serving the Reign well. The more mobile they are, the more they show in those gaps, the better.
Little driving it low. The wall does its job for Chicago. Here's Kawasumi serving it in to the 18. LaRue onside, back to Fletcher. The shot, the score! Goal! Bev Goebel for Seattle.
There's the super sub, and there's a celebration by Laura Harvey that hopefully someone caught on tape. She gets as excited as Jurgen Klinsmann, maybe not as excited as Mexico's coach in the World Cup, but she loves a good goal, and I love to see coaches celebrate. What good patience. Great job by LaRue to be composed and play that ball back across. Great composure by Fletcher to play it across, and a finish by super sub Bev Goebel. Here we see it here, LaRue chests it down, good touch outside of the foot, Fletcher across the box, boom, inside of the foot finish, easy peasy for the Seattle Reign. They go up 1-0.
70th minute, Bev Goebel, her fourth goal this season for Seattle, and the Reign with a 1-0 lead here at Memorial Stadium.
And here's a substitution, the rookie I was talking about earlier. I thought maybe she had taken an injury. I'm not sure why she wasn't playing earlier in the match because she's played quite a bit this season. But out of the University of Illinois, former U20 national team player Vanessa DiBernardo has been a really good rookie in this league. We've watched her several times. She gets on the ball well. She plays both sides of the ball pretty well. So we'll see now going down 1-0, making the substitution, if she can help Chicago, 1, stop the bleeding, and 2, get something going forward. Talk about the U23s a little bit, April. The game's heating up here and getting exciting. You can lay out when it's in the box if you'd like to. But talk about the U23 age group and your thoughts on, with the non-pro players in these couple camps that Steve's had the last few months, what that group looks like to you and what the purpose of that age group serves and what we need to do with it going forward.
You know, there's a lot of talk about our under-23 age group. Not many countries have a U23 team. And the question is, why would we do it? I think that the really simple answer is that we develop players over the course of 5, 6, 7 years when they enter our program at the U17 age group or a little bit sooner. And for the really good ones, they go to a U17 World Cup and then they matriculate on to the U20 World Cup. Or maybe they bubble up a little bit later and they only go to the U20 World Cup. And then after we've invested a lot of time and energy and resources in them, do we really just turn them loose for the average 5 to 7 years it takes to win make a position for themselves on the senior women's national team? Or can we have the under-23 program? So 4 camps a year, 1 international trip. We get to blend some of the peripheral pro players or early entry pro players with our top youth national team players that are past the U20 age group. We do that for 2 events, and then after that 2 camps we just bring college players in, which allows us to look at new players and see some late emerging players. So, you know, Julie Johnson's a great example. She's on the field right now, played in an under-20 World Cup 2 years ago. Are we really going to let her sit idly for 2 years until she becomes a pro and then see if she can make the senior women's national team? So the program bridges the gap, and I can't think of anyone better than Steve Swanson as a coach to both motivate the players, focus, and still give them honest feedback during camp on some of the things they need to be playing at the next level.
Yeah, just this week for me personally, 1 camp ago, and then now this is my 2nd camp in with that age group, and watching Steve with the players this week. You know, it really is a treat to watch the input they get. Every single player that comes in, whether they're a first-time player that's been recommended by a college coach or someone who's a veteran of a U20 World Cup, like the Samantha Mewis, Sarah Killians of the world. It's great for them to have this opportunity. A lot of people would say, well, they're playing college still. They still have a college season left. Well, everyone knows that 20 games a year does not development make. You can play in the best college programs in the country, and it's still a very cramped, limited season. You need to get these kids all in one environment. Wouldn't you agree, April, to be able to put them in the level and the pace and give them the training and feedback they need to move forward?
Yeah, there's a couple ingredients you really need to develop as a player. There's talent, and of course every player on the field right now is talented. And then you need to be in an environment where you're challenged every day, both in training and in games. And for the players, Julie Johnson's the same age of some of the players we have sitting in the stands right now.
Flag up, by the way.
But she's older academically and playing professionally. So one of those 2 environments are going to help them. You see Julie's one of the top center backs in the league in my estimation from watching all these games.
Well, and I think what a lot of kids need to know that are listening to this broadcast is that's not where she plays or played collegiately, that she was converted for the U20 World Cup from a midfield attacking player to being a center back and ended up being the golden ball winner in the World Cup in Japan. So those are things that maybe some people don't know that you have to understand as a youth player going forward. If this is the level you want to achieve and you can adapt as she has, it could help make your career.
Yep. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, April. Go ahead.
I was going to say, she was a midfielder for the better part of the first year and a half in our cycle, and we converted her late, which we often have to do. We do wish we could get a little bit more help where the conversion happens earlier in their career, but it is what it is. Julie's a great example. And watching Julie live today, and you don't get to see this when you watch these games on TV, she's somewhat redefining the center back position. From what I can tell, she is the only center back that's made any runs forward this year. And she makes about 3 a game, and they're very influential.
You know, I watched Kansas. There was a hashtag on Twitter last year, wild ass running center back. I think Becky Sauerbrunn scored on us last year, making an overlapping run to the right. But you're right, I haven't seen as many this year, and it's a dangerous way to play.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that's a little bit more uncommon than it should be. It's effective.
Yep. I still think we're going to see a response from Chicago, particularly through Julie Johnson, because she's a winner. Here she is right now trying to develop. And they know that a run point on the road here could make a huge difference. So they're going to get a response. Let's see.
2 players just coming on for Chicago. Taryn Hemmings is on, and also coming on Jen Hoy. And Jen's a goal scorer. She has 4 this season, along with 2 assists, coming off Leon and also Julianne Sitch. So all the substitutions that Rory Dames had at his disposal, he has made, and now we'll wait and see from a Chicago perspective if they pay off.
They've got 15 minutes, and again, Chicago has been, they've had chances. They've stayed in the match. They've created, especially towards the beginning or the end of the second half. I thought they had a little bit more run of the play, and now they're going to push numbers forward. And as April said, there's going to be a response.
Fishlock.
The other thing they've done is they've put Julie in the midfield and put Taryn Hemmings in the
LaRue.
back.
Whoa.
That's going to give them a little more offensive power.
Yep.
Sydney got a lot into that one from like about 30 yards out. April, I wanted to ask you, third attempt to really solidify women's soccer in this country.
Yes.
How important is it to have success the 3rd time in terms of what it helps at the national team level and what you are all trying to get accomplished?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that question a lot. You know, I think when a league only lasts 3 years, it's a blip on the screen, relatively speaking, to the national team program. If we can get to the 5 and then eventually 10-year mark, I'm confident that we're going to crack open a code with women's soccer. You know, we're very successful. We're one of the teams in the world that finishes in the top 3. But I think if we could have a league that really sustains our professionalism, it's a game changer for us. You're just looking at, watching the MLS. I remember when Bruce Arena was the coach, it hit its 10th year. And that's when we started to see guys playing in the MLS actually influencing the MLS.
DiBernardo looking to connect with press, and now Seattle with an opportunity maybe to counter.
And this game has just opened up. It's kind of end-end. A couple balls picked off in the midfield and forward, and it got stretched a little bit there. Both teams having decent opportunities. You heard the crowd roar. That was for a non-call against Fishlock. And Chicago quickly going the other way.
Here's press.
The 2 subs that they made, Jen Hoy and Vanessa DiBernardo, are also going to give Kristen Press and Zakia Bywater's a little support up top for this response we've been talking about.
Well, Johnston with a great strike, but well defended by the rain. Chicago attempts to put some additional pressure on the Seattle defense. Hemmings with a cast on her left wrist. Kalupny taken away by LaRue.
Well done by LaRue to get out of pressure there. That's not something, a position you typically see Sydney LaRue in, having to take 4 and 5 touches in the back half to get out of pressure, but she did well there.
Kim Little, who's not been on the ball that much here in the second half.
Nope, and as you see when she gets it, she draws 3 players, and she plays out of it pretty quickly. That ball back to Keelan has to come out from her side quicker than it just did.
April, looking ahead to next year in Canada, what are your thoughts? Is that drought at the national team level, you think that's about ready to come to an end?
Well,
competition's getting tougher,
I
right?
know. To be honest, we've got our minds focused on Canada in 1 week from now with the Under-20 World Cup coming up. The Under-20s World Cup is played every 2 years in front of the Women's World Cup as almost the test event. So we're going to take our young ones there first. Hopefully we're successful with them. And then in a year from now, Jill Ellis and her coaching staff will give it a run. And we feel pretty good about the team and the depth of talent. It's, in some ways, we are deeper than we've ever been in the history of our program. It's pretty darn exciting.
Yeah. The U20, when people want to follow that, who are the teams they should be watching in addition to the U.S.?
Yeah, well, so our group is Germany, Brazil, and China.
Okay.
So we have a pretty good group to challenge our young players immediately. And then, of course, France leads up their group with New Zealand and Costa Rica, some of the good teams in there. And then, of course, we have Nigeria, and they're a team that's always a team to be reckoned with, and Ghana. And England has qualified for this World Cup, so there's some good teams, and probably 2 to 3 good teams in every group. With the Youth World Cups, they're a little bit smaller in numbers, so the group games are pretty darn competitive.
Well, we look forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. Nice tune-up in terms of international soccer. Thank you so much for joining us, April. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your stay in Seattle, and we hope Leslie's been a nice host for you.
She's been a great host. Seattle's been a great host. This is our 3rd game we've attended this week. We've gone to the Sounders twice. Now we're watching the rain. We actually got to play against the rain, so it's been an amazing 10 days here in Seattle.
People love their soccer in this city. It's great to have you here.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, April.
Thanks, April.
April Heinrich's nice enough to join us. Turnover. Chicago. Here's press. Onside, and the goal for Chicago. About as easy as you will see, as Lauren Barnes with an unfortunate giveaway, and that allowed Chicago to get the equalizer in the 81st minute, late in the 81st minute. A very nice play that time as Jen Hoy found Kristen Press, and Kristen Press did not give Hope Solo any chance to make a save on that play.
Well, and those are 2 players that are great attacking players, both Jen Hoy and Kristen Press. I'd like to see on the replay, it was interesting. I thought the ball that got played across, it was a good ball, whether Hope took the best angle on it and came out to smother it or not. You know, that's a ball that I think she can get to be honest. And we go back to talking about her not having much to do this game. And then the one thing she's called upon to do was she as focused and ready as she needs to be. And this isn't a bash on Hope at all. It's just that I have high expectations of her. That's a save that I think she can make.
So Chicago striking late. And we've seen Seattle respond on a number of very similar occasions this year. Let's see if they can do it again. Remember, a win or a tie, Seattle will officially wrap up a playoff spot. I don't think that's really much of a debate as to whether they're going to be in. It's just a matter of when, but they can take care of that today, even if this 1-1 score holds. They are in.
And this is where Seattle can be great. They've got numbers forward. Chicago's good defensively, but if they keep moving the ball, don't get stuck on the ball too long, and let them smash them on this side like they're about to do, they can be really successful, but they just needed to keep moving the ball up there as opposed to take the dribbles that Bev Goebel took. 1 and 2 touch rhythm, get in between them.
Foul from behind that time against DiBernardo. Seattle quickly back at it. Fishlock was trying to find Little. Keelan Winters committing the foul.
Attendance for tonight's game is 3,030.
Attendance 3,030 here at Memorial Stadium. And again, the crowd probably pushed down a little bit due to one of the major interstates in Seattle going through some construction. Makes it difficult to get into Seattle from the east side of the area.
Who lives
By
over
to
there?
Seattle. I'm one of them. Actually, it was pretty easy coming in today, so or people just thought it might be worse than it actually was. Here's Johnston. By to Seattle going on, so a lot of traffic in the Seattle center area. Well, that was a dangerous ball. Just nobody there for Chicago. Good
that was
job
the
by Press.
wrong seam. Press found a seam with no one in it. That was dangerous. It was a little bit too easy for her, to be honest, to get through there.
Cox
That's
looking
a great
for
ball
LaRue.
by Steph Cox.
Kawasumi.
Great job by Sid to recognize, to lay it back.
LaRue with a left foot. Side netting.
Great look by Sid there. Opens up some space for herself. Good movement up front. Gives it a left-footed crack.
Not sure how close that was, but it obviously got the attention of Karina LeBlanc. Very impressive left-footed shot that time by Sydney LaRue. Take a look. Settles
Turns
on the
inside,
ball.
makes a good move to clear some space for herself. Needed to look maybe far post for that, but I like the chance she's taking there.
85th minute, 1-1. Seattle getting on the board first. 70th minute, Bev Goebel from about 6 yards out. And the equalizer from Kristen Press, coming just about 5 minutes ago. Cox that time playing the ball behind Goebel. I think Stephanie thought Bev was going to check up and come back toward her. Here's Little. Nice pass to the near touchline, Bev Goebel.
It's a great sort of across the grain pass going one way. She plays it out wide to Bev. And again, patience right here will serve Seattle well. Keep the ball moving. Patience doesn't mean stop it. Keep it moving and play in between them. Chicago's got a good set right there.
Little in the
but
18.
This is where they could be dangerous. LaRue needs to move right now. Again, not showing well enough.
And Press. 1-on-2. Solo retreating into her goal.
That's
Press.
again a place where you see Press and Bywater's just not on the same wavelength there.
Usually in the first half, it was Bywaters trying to find Press. That time, Press trying to find Bywaters. Little. Fletcher. Goebel.
You know, Seattle's
well defended that time. Here's Kolupny.
Kristen Press doing a great job of fading off the backside of Lauren Barnes right now. You can see her. Just keep your eye on her.
Bywaters. That was a well-served ball.
if they're trying to win this game, they need to have more numbers forward. If they're simply okay with the draw, maybe that's fine. They don't want to get countered on. But what Seattle has to think here is if this slows up a playoff spot, taking the 1 point and not giving up 3 is what you want to have happen. So international experience from the likes of Jess Fishlock, Kim Little, who's going to be the voice of reason on this team to make sure that that doesn't happen in the waning moments. They don't risk too much going forward, and they're solid going back.
Flag up, offside Chicago on Hoy. Just in now to the 88th minute. Keelan Winters, Kawasumi. Fairly quiet game for Naho, and that's usually not the case.
And on a pretty quiet game for Keelan.
Yeah.
She hasn't really been on the ball that much. I mean, she hasn't really necessarily played poorly. I think she's been fine as a link player, but it'd be interesting to see after this game, Naho, Keelan, how many touches they've actually had.
Reed with a throw in. There's Keelan Winters. Fletcher looking for LaRue, and LeBlanc right there, no problem for her.
And one of the bashes on Sydney LaRue is her work rate off the ball and what she does off the ball. She came in as a substitute. She's got fresher legs than most of the players on the pitch.
Cox, Goebel.
So her movement off the ball and her ability to show for her teammates needs to stay high. She needs to keep moving. She just passed that ball. She's standing in the same place. She needs to move again, fade off the backside of 1-0, clear some space for herself and be an option on the back post. But she gives it and then she stands. She needs to move away, shade off, make the defender think about her a little bit more.
Press, flicking it ahead, trying to connect with Bywaters, and able to do that. A throw in for Seattle.
And it's certainly something, if she's looking at that and Jill Ellis is here watching her, that's been something that I know she's talked to her long and hard about. You compare her to someone like a Kristen Press who moves really well off the ball, who fades off her defenders, who runs blindside, who changes her runs. That's your competition when it comes to the full women's national team. And you're going to have your special traits, she's going to have hers. But work rate off the ball is definitely going to be something that is at the top of the checklist for Coach Ellis.
So just some of the skill that Kim Little brings to the pitch. Fishlock down, trying to draw a foul call, did not get it.
Whistle in, whistle out, no whistle.
Into the 90th minute. And again, I don't think we'll get a lot of time added on here, maybe 2 minutes at the end of this match. Stephanie Cox, feeling the pressure from Jen Hoy, decides to play it safe and play it out near touchline. Chicago in no hurry. I think that's less about what they want to get accomplished here, but not wanting to give Seattle much time to work with, assuming they get possession.
And Chicago's got enough attacking weapons that they could steal one late if Seattle isn't careful.
And it is 2 minutes of added time. Johnston, Galupny. Look at Press working hard, putting some
That's the press
heat
press.
on Fletcher.
That's the press.
And Fishlock committing the foul on Johnston.
Yeah, that's not a smart foul with this amount of time left to give them a restart right there. April alluded to it. Julie Johnson's a winner. Moving her into the midfield's been a great move by Rory Danes. She's going to work hard on and off the ball to try to create stuff. That's not the most intelligent foul for Jess Fishlock to give up right here at this point in the game.
Ursig. Press gets ahead on it. Morway, number 3. Let's see if Seattle can get one more opportunity support up front. DiBernardo by Waters. Well defended that time by Fletcher. Kim Little. Winners looking for LaRue. And that ball will be intercepted easily by Morway.
Chicago has very good defensive shape.
Go
They
Bull.
balance well. They pick off those long diagonal balls for the most part.
And that's it.
Point for the Reign. Playoff spot clinched. Probably disappointed they didn't win based on the amount of possession they had, particularly early in the half. And you have to be impressed, again, with Chicago's defending, their hardness, the way they stick around, and the way they came back to draw even on a goal by Kristen Press, who, that's her thing, scoring goals.
Rory Dames' club can get into the postseason. Chicago certainly has the talent, the work ethic, the defense to maybe make a little bit of noise come the postseason. 1-1 the final here at Memorial Stadium in Seattle. In terms of positives, I think, for the Reign today, Leslie, the play that they had, the crispness, the passing, the possession in the first half, I think, was a highlight. Certainly having Megan Rapinoe back was great as well.
Being able to see Rapinoe, it being more of a building game as opposed to more of a boxing match, which it was at home last time against this team. Clearly Chicago's improved as things have gone along. They have things going their way, and they're making a push to get into the playoffs. You know, now that they've clinched again, it's like it's the pressure of undefeated. Now there's the pressure, not the pressure of the lack of pressure of the playoffs. You know, they're going, and now they've just got to figure out how to stay focused on one game at a time, and improving their game one game at a time. Because the way the playoffs are, you know, it doesn't matter what your record is once playoffs come. It matters, you know, the seeding, who you play, and at the end of the day, how you perform on the day, because it's one and out. And you've just got to keep that kind of focus and keep improving each match.
Laura Harvey telling me before the match, fast start was important to her, strong finish. Got the fast start, didn't get the finishes in terms of goals. 70th minute goal, so you like how it's shaping up to finish, but a defensive miscue leads to the equalizing goal. So,
yeah, an uncharacteristic giveaway by Lou Barnes.
Yeah.
And I think uncharacteristic of Hope. If she has that to do over again, you know, again, your defenders are going to make mistakes, and it's how you react to them. I don't think that as good as the ball was, it was played across the box. Hope's fast enough coming off her line that I think she can cut that out. I don't know if I have more faith in her than she has in herself, but you know, maybe I'll tell her that. She just got to be more aggressive on that. Kristen Press, you know, did well to finish it and get around her. But I don't think it needed to get over to that point. But I would say, you know, the finishing, again, hardest thing to do in soccer. Early in the game with the number of chances the Reign had, they need to start finding the net early before they're fatigued, when they've got those chances and they're feeling good about their possession and how they're playing. That's the thing that needs to come back to this team, getting a goal in the first 15, 20 minutes to feel that kind of comfort and confidence going forward. So, you know, Laura Harvey, we've seen time and time again with the way this team is put together. They have a great mentality. They have a winner's mentality, and she'll get them in the right frame of mind moving forward.
Next up for Seattle, the Cascadia rivalry with the Portland Thorns. They will be here 1 week from today. So next Sunday, it's a 4 o'clock kickoff at Memorial Stadium as the rivalry with the Thorns will heat up once again. Coming up next for the Red Stars, they will host Houston on a Saturday. Great to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon from Seattle. Seattle and Chicago ending in a 1-1 draw. For the best analyst in the business, Leslie Gallagher, I'm Tom Glasgow. Thanks to our friends with Bootstrapper who bring it all together technically to bring you this broadcast via YouTube. Our thanks to them as well. We'll join you again next Sunday. For everyone associated with Seattle Reign Soccer, I'm Tom Glasgow. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Bootstrapper, and let it rain.